Hi, my name is Amaya Davis. I'm Justin's niece. And I'd like to start off with a few words about him and how he was so great. I remember this time when he stayed over my house a lot, and I didn't have nobody to play with, so he came over and he played with me. Like, I remember this time when he would be the monster and I would just be running around, and he had a sheet in his hand, and when he caught me, he would wrap me up in it and say, "I'm taking you to the dungeon." It was very hard to hear the news that he died. It was heartbreaking.
Hi, I'm Sierra and I am Justin's cousin. When we was at Zamaya's birthday party, he would tap me on my shoulder and always ask me if I had a boyfriend. And I was like, no, not yet. Then he was just like, good, because you don't need one. We had so many laughs and memories together, and I just miss him a lot.
My name is Tania, and I know Justin ever since I can remember. His mom is my mom's mom, you could say. So that makes him my uncle. And he was such a sweet, kind-hearted, young, handsome man. I will always remember his hugs because they were so welcoming and tight, and then the smell, he smelled so good. I will never forget it. And like other people, like everybody, we have our flaws and our challenges that we go through in life. And I could never really tell because he was always smiling and happy. But now that I hear all the things, I would have never thought that he was going through all that stuff. But he's in a good place now, and we will never forget. He will always be in our heart.
My name is Marquita.
And he began to confront me on the things that he had a conflict about, asking me questions one after the other about this faith and what they believe, and that faith and what they believe, and this God and this heaven and this hell. But he would come back each time and he would say, but I know what you've taught me, Mom. I know what you've said. You know, son, you sound very, very troubled in your Probably embracing life at this point with a quiet conflict because he has two parents who are not on the same page, who also has been given a foundation of information, which is all he knows, which is designed to guide him to have a healthy future, being now caught in the twist him into a alternative program where he's surrounded now with a whole nother perspective at life, one that is on the road or the pathway to illegal behavior. That was the point in Justin's life where he was sitting in the middle of a mental health crisis. That is unhealthy. And I think people of my age, we had our own pressures when we were coming along. I mean, we had things that decisions we had to make, and we had, there was always negative influences around us, but today it is just an extreme of negative influences that are around our children. And as much as we don't want to accept it as parents, this whole freedom of speech thing, where the value and standards that would prevent young children from being exposed to those ills in society is not in place. Many people are leaving it up to the parent to parent their children, but we live in a society with parents who don't see a problem with their children being exposed to things that they don't understand, but will wake up to realize one day that has completely affected the mental health of their child. With youth being exposed to the daily intake, and we're seeing it show up. So for instance, some child who is angry for whatever reason walks into a school and shoots children. We have our teens being murdered, now our young babies being murdered in these schools. How about the 7-year-old child who hung herself in her bedroom? I mean, she hung herself in her bedroom. When her mother found her, she was hanging in her bedroom. What could have happened in a 7-year-old child's life, in her home, in her environment, in her school? What could have been going on in her mind to cause her to feel that there was no way out but to commit suicide? That is a mental health issue. I remember when I was in the Power Up group, which is a group that works in the school system. And I had this group of kids ages 9 to maybe 15. And we were doing a play called House Party. And I gave them the opportunity to pick the song. And so they brought in all this music, and the song that they put in the box and started playing it. Everybody was up there dancing. And the song kind of went to the window, to the wall, to the window, to the wall. And everybody was just dancing, and I was kind of moving too because the music was really good and the beat was wonderful, and this little 9-year-old child who was sitting right beside me, she looked up at me and she said to me, "Miss Denise, you're not going to want them to play that song for the play production." And I said, "Why, honey?" She said, "Because it's about oral sex." Now you tell me, what does a 9-year-old child know about oral sex? I mean, something is very wrong with our society. If a 9-year-old child can learn about oral sex through the media and with a song, that influence imparted in that young spirit creates a mental health crisis, and we have to do something about it. We are living in an all about me society. I mean, everything is all about what I want, what satisfies me, what gratifies my desires, what makes me feel great. It's about me. And it's unfortunate, but the what about me society is what adults are creating, but our children are living amongst. And that society is driving our children into a mental health state that is not healthy for their growth and their development. And unfortunately, much of the world is not seeing that. And especially those who are in high places who hold the keys to what's being distributed amongst the airways through Hollywood and the media. Those who stand behind that are satisfying their own needs, their own desires, which they are seeing happens to be the needs and the desires of many of those who are in society. So therefore, we have households who are just filled with violence and sex on a continuous basis. Now, of course, that's not everyone. That's someone. And the many someones have children. And so, then you have the mingle of children who come together, and everyone today, all children are in crisis. We need to do something. God created sex. He created it to be beautiful and wonderful and a great gift, a great surprise, a wonderful blessing between a man and a woman who's a husband and a wife. He created sex to birth a healthy society who would have morals and standards and create an environment that would produce a wonderful future for every human being. But because we have perverted this beautiful blessing of love making, and we've turned it into something that has no value anymore. It is watered down to consist of two flesh bodies slapping together with no real purpose involved. We've taken away the heart, and our children are being raised to see that. Sexual perversion is producing in this earth a wave of muddy waters. And we are birthing our children into this environment, and we are setting them free to try to swim through the muddy waters of life. And then we expect them to come out on the other side of the sea, of this muddy water, clean. You can't have it both ways. If you muddy up the waters, then you can't expect your children to come out clean. You put something in clean water and it comes out clean. You put it in dirty water and it comes out dirty. As a society, we have to decide, how do we want our children to come out? I know what I'm saying sounds very traditional or very old school maybe. But honey, I'm going to tell you, you can size it up any way you want to. Today, we are looking at the result of our actions, and we have to take our eyes off of self and put them on our children. If you love children and you love what children, the life of children are to bring to society, then you need to take your eyes off of your selfish self and put your eyes back on the life of the children who are coming up under you or around you. People who don't agree with the foundation of tradition that births great, healthy people. I will say this, that when you're building a building, you can build that building on a firm foundation, or you can build that building on a foundation that is made of sinking sand. And today our foundation is sinking, and it's sinking rapidly. We have children who are sinking in quicksand. What do I hope will happen? I hope that society as a whole will look at this total package, and as they are looking at it from the perspective of trying to control the gun violence, that they will also look at the daily intake of the different things that are being displayed over the television and the different types of games that our children are playing. I mean, somebody has to take responsibility and not just pass the buck to the parent, because many parents don't see the need to control a child or to prevent a child from watching or seeing things that they grew up seeing. And they don't see anything wrong with themselves, so therefore they can't see anything wrong with raising their children that way. When in fact, dysfunction is all around us. I remember working at Circuit City, and back that was many years ago, and I was just becoming aware of the words that were being spoken through the different songs. And I was selling a boombox to a mother, and her daughter was turning on the boombox. It was for her daughter, and the daughter was playing a song, and I was listening to the words of the song. I asked the mother right then, I said, "Do you hear the words to that song?" And she said, I never really paid it any attention. And I said, well, you might want to start doing that, because your little girl is listening to it on a regular basis. So, I mean, that's just something for us to think about. I mean, our children are under attack on their mental health. And it's showing up. It's showing up in the schools. It's showing up in the world. And we need to be aware of it.